Today is the 19th of December, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to find joy regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your life. I believe that joy is something very intrinsic, and it is definitely not based on circumstances or what you're going through in life. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I do, and I have personally experienced this in my life through whatever limited experiences I've been through. And I've also heard from a lot of other people and read about a lot of other people who believe the same thing, that joy is something you yourself can find within yourself and external circumstances do not dictate joy. So I know that everybody is looking for happiness, everybody is looking for joy, whether we intentionally look or not. We want to be happy, we want to be and feel joyful, and we sometimes believe that our level of joy or level of happiness is dictated by things that are happening in our life at that time. And when that happens, and when we believe so, our levels of joy fluctuate up and down, because life is never static. There's a lot of fluctuations, there's a lot of instability, and as and when life deals us a bad hand, or as and when life deals us a good hand, we are either sad or we are either extremely joyful, and there is no in between. So I thought I would share with you how I find joy in my life regardless of my circumstances, regardless of what I personally am going through in my life. Now, the first way to bring joy into our lives or back into our lives is to change our perspective a little bit about things, about how we see life. Now, we as humans tend to be a very negative race for some reason. Everything that happens is covered in negativity. Whether it's actually a good thing or a bad thing, it doesn't matter. We still view everything negatively, and for that very reason, everything that happens in our life is seen as negative, and we try to pick out problems in those things. We also do not accept change very easily, and so when we have certain expectations and they are not met by people or circumstances or by life, we feel that we were disappointed, and we immediately become sad and disappointed with ourselves, with life, and we start blaming anything and anyone, and that's where we become more sad than happy. Now, I have found that changing my perspective about things, changing how I view things, changing how I see a particular situation is really helpful if I really want joy to be a part of my life. Now, I saw this growing up with my parents. If you don't know, my brother was disabled, 100% disabled. He couldn't walk, talk, do anything on his own. He was completely dependent on my parents, especially my mother and my father, for carrying him and lifting him and all those things. My parents never ever made it look like a bad thing or a burdensome thing, and I have watched them, observed them for all my life since my brother was born, and they have never ever had any kind of anger or sadness or depression about them. And looking at that, I realized that it was just the way they saw things. They didn't see my brother's life as a burden. They didn't see my brother's life as something negative that life dealt them. They saw it as what it was, and that was they had a child, and that was all they saw it as. They saw it as they had a child, and if you have a child, what do you do with the child? You love the child, you show commitment to the child, you help the child in whatever way you can, and they did just that. And seeing that, I realized how powerful perspective is, because when we immediately change anything, any situation that we are in, into something that is just a part of life instead of something negative, something bad, something depressing, then we immediately change the way how we see things, and we immediately change the way how we react in that situation and even behave in that situation. It would have been very easy for my parents to be depressed, to be sad, to not take care of my brother, to fight with each other, to have quarrels with each other, to not pay attention to me. It would have been easy, and it could even have been justified just because they had a difficult set of circumstances in their life But they didn't. They paid attention to me, they paid attention to each other. In fact, they haven't ever fought in their lives, ever. And so when a person or when people can take such a circumstance that is seen as devastating to many and turn it into something good, something great, then that just shows the power of our own mindset. So we don't think we have that power. We think that the universe has power over us and life has power over us, but we don't realize how much power our minds hold over our lives. If we're able to turn a situation that we perceive as negative into a situation where we can learn something, or we feel gratitude for being able to go through that situation, then our entire life changes. And instead of sadness, instead of disappointment, we are filled with happiness, because we are seeing whatever happens in our life and we are being grateful for it, being grateful for the experience, being grateful for whatever it is that we have been given. When we fill our minds with gratitude instead of disappointment, we change our lives completely and we add more joy and more happiness into our lives. Now, the second way I believe we can bring joy into our lives is to enjoy the little moments. As I was saying in yesterday's video, that we are so used to seeing the great grand things on social media, and we believe that that is what happiness is, that a certain lifestyle or a certain car or a certain home or certain kinds of clothes is going to bring you happiness, or a certain way you look is going to bring you happiness. But it is the little things that bring us happiness, and we need to realize that and start focusing on that. As a child, I always loved the rain, and I honestly believe that it is God's gift to me whenever it rains, because I associate the rain with all the good things in my life. I associate the rain with new beginnings, and I don't know why that is, but it's just a part of my life. I love the rain, and so whenever it rains, even if it just drizzles, because I currently live in a place where it doesn't rain as much, but whenever it rains, like even if there are few drops of rain and you get that smell out of the ground, that after the rain smell, I feel so happy and thankful and grateful for my life, because for me, that rain is a gift. There are small things like this that make me happy, and whenever I want to feel that joy, whenever I want to feel happy, whenever life might not be going my way, I still try to find these little things that make me happy, and if I can, I do them. Now, I can't make it rain, so that's something out of my control, but I can listen to the song that I love. I can dance around in my room for 5 minutes. I can watch a movie that I love. I can talk to the people I love. There are these small things that instantly brighten up our day. You know what I'm talking about when I'm saying this, but we don't intentionally do those things in our life because we are very busy living life. So we plan the bigger events, but taking the time to plan the little moments and enjoying the little moments is very important. Even the smallest of things, like having a cup of coffee, brings me so much joy if I focus on it. If I don't focus on it, it's just another part of my day and I gulp down the cup of coffee. But if I focus on it, if I take the time to savor the taste, to hold the mug in my hands and feel the warmth, I feel happiness within me, and I'm sure there are certain things like that that bring you happiness. So focusing on those little moments. We don't need big grand things happening in our life to be happy, to feel joyful. We can find joy by just doing these little things and enjoying and savoring these little things, and that's what life is about, I think. And the last thing that I have found that brings a lot of joy into life is having meaning and purpose to your life. Having a reason to get up in the morning makes your life so much better. When you don't have any reason to get up in the morning, obviously your day is going to be horrible and you're not going to feel happy until something happens to make you happy. But when you have something that excites you about getting up, when you have passions in your life, when you have something that you want to work on, then you immediately are filled with joy, then whatever you do throughout your day will bring you joy. It doesn't have to be something great, it doesn't have to be something big and flashy. Whatever you do, even the smallest of things, will make you happy and make you joyful, and that meaning is very important. There is a lot of research that has been done about happiness and joy and its correlation with having a purpose and meaning in life, and I think I really want to talk about this another day, because that's a big topic in itself, about finding that meaning in life and living out your meaning. In this video, all I want to say is that there is a very strong correlation between having meaning and purpose in your life and having happiness and joy. If you don't have meaning, you will not have joy, even if the greatest of things happen to you. These are the ways I personally bring joy into my life and find joy within myself, regardless of my circumstances, because circumstances can change overnight and I have no control over them. But I can control my mind, I can control my thought, I can control how I feel, because that matters the most. Because when you are in a difficult place in life, the biggest skill to have is to find the joy even then. That's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. That's the biggest thing that you can gift yourself this season, is that finding joy within yourself instead of in others or in other things or in circumstances, because nothing can give you happiness and joy except for yourself.